What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to episode 108 of the U.S.S. Enterprise D tutorial. I'm Zero Elite, and I just want to thank you very much for tuning in today's episode. If you haven't, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, helping me in supporting the channel. I can't thank you enough for that. And also, don't forget to join the Discord channel. I have a link in the description below. Right now, I'm doing a build poll on what my next ship build is going to be. So be sure to join the Discord. And once you do, on the left-hand side, there will be a tab called Next Build Poll. I've generated that list based off the most popular build requests that I've gotten on the YouTube channel. And also, we've got a goal here of 1,000 subscribers as we continue to grow the channel. Once we hit 1,000, I'm going to be dropping a tutorial on the Star Trek Beyond U.S.S. Enterprise A, and I'm really looking forward to getting into that. But let's get into today's build. So we've got about a 19-minute episode, and before we get going on this, I want to explain a little bit what we're going to be doing. And I've already taken the liberty off camera of completing the left side of the backbone of the neck and what we're going to be doing. So today we're going to be focusing on the right side. So this is something that I talked about in yesterday's episode and previously, that, you know, this Enterprise D has been a learning experience for me. So some of these things, as far as how I want to approach the tutorial, is basically constantly evolving. It's always going to be changing. I'm always going to be finding out better and more efficient ways to do it. And one of the things I've decided with the Enterprise D is that when I'm doing something that's exact and I'm repeating it, I'm probably only going to do one side of it to try to save time so we can get through more of the build in a faster pace. So one of the things that I had an issue with was the backbone of the neck, specifically the lines on the sides. As you zoom out, it had no strength, it had no line on it. And this is something that we're going to be doing going forward, not even just in the backbone, but all over the ship. How can we add in some lines to really bring out some of the beautiful line work that we have going on with our ship? And that's what we're going to be doing today. So I've already you just got a sneak peek here of the left side, but we're going to be doing the right side now. We're literally just going to be adding with the gray concrete, going along the lip here in a pattern with the cut line. We're just adding a row. We're not deleting anything. I think actually we will when we get up towards the top here, but we're just adding a row. So I want to hop over to this side, make sure what I did. So this row was 3. So we're going to do the same thing on this side. We're going to go in by 3. There's going to be a slight gap on the row after that third row that we did of 3, but we'll fix that. Don't worry about that. Right now, we're just mostly concerned with getting our outline going here. See, now we've hit the top rows where I'm having to delete a couple of rows here and there. And this is where I talk about problem solving, where you can't match exactly the pattern that you had previously. So really the only thing that you can do in that case is just shave away a couple of rows and replace that with the gray concrete. Now what I'm doing now on the left side is I'm double checking my work. You see, just on that same on the third block, that's 3 long, we've got a gap there, we can fix that. So both sides match up so far. I only went so high here, so now I'm going to want to make sure that what I did on the right side, I'm repeating the same step on the left side here. This is very important because you start to veer away from that. This is where your ship can start to fall apart. It's very important that what you do on one side, you repeat it on the other side. This is why we do it immediately after, so this way it's the freshest in our minds, because if you do one side now and you come back to it later on, you're going to have mistakes all over the place, or at least I am anyway. I don't want to say that everybody is, because everybody builds differently, but the main reason on why I do this is to save myself from making those mistakes. And doing it in this manner, I've just found is the best way to go about it to eliminate those errors. Now you will notice that as we get up in the top higher rows here, there is kind of a gap here on the sides. I mean, at this point, I'm really not too worried about that. I mean, that's just going to kind of be there. But I think that once we're completely done with the neck, having this line here is actually going to bring out the back angle of the neck here and make the ship look a lot more pretty in this area. So right now we're going to continue on the right side. It's doing the same thing, adding one, delete one, add one, delete one, add one, delete one. So I always say that there's a pattern in what you're doing. Stick to your pattern. Pattern can vary. Your pattern can always vary a little bit, and it's always going to change on what you're doing depending on what area of the ship that you're working on. But stick to your pattern and you'll be all right. Only block I'm not set on is this block right here. That one's just, ooh, it's standing out to me. Because it's a single block by itself. So what I'm going to do is now we're going to add a builder line. Now I'm doing this for a reason, because I want to go over to the other side and verify if I have that same problem on this side. This is the best way to do that. And I actually messed up on the left side here. I just should have went straight across. But I do have that same problem. If you had the line just going straight over, there's a single block there and a single block here. This is how you determine where you're making mistakes, and also to measure your stuff up. I mentioned this suggestion to somebody else the other day when I was trying to help them out with their build. When I say measurement lines, this is what I'm talking about. This is a measurement line. I'm just using the red just as a way to make it stick out from the rest of the builds. This way I can go back later on and delete it. And I'm measuring up both sides to make sure that they match. Because the problem that we're having right now is that single block that's there by itself. What can we do to fix that? His main problem here, if we're doing it in a pattern of 3, we can maybe take away one on one of the above or below, but that's not really the case here. Thinking that maybe I can go in a row, fix that. But now it's going to get a little bit tricky here, because now since we're deleting some stuff, we're going to have to kind of rework that whole top row there. Which really isn't a big deal, because we're not necessarily changing the overall look of the ship. But this extra row here that we have, the 2x2 row, that's kind of messing this up. So what we're going to do, we're going to get rid of that. We're going to get rid of that on the left side and the right side. So this way we can just kind of not redesign the wheel here, but just make a slight tweak to our build to make it work based on the pinstripe line that we're trying to add in. Because this, I think I intended at one point to make the neck thicker, which is why I had that row there in place. I just hadn't done it on the back side yet. But right now, it's completely messing up my world here. So I'm going to get rid of it. So we're just going to bring that down and keep on rolling. I haven't had a chance to really talk about Star Trek news in the last couple of episodes, but there's actually been quite a bit of Star Trek news coming out. Those of you that are following it, I had actually posted a link on my Discord channel. I didn't think it was ever going to happen, but they're making another Kelvin timeline Star Trek movie. And, you know, I'm actually really excited about it. I didn't think that that was ever going to happen, and especially because of what happened with Anton Yelton, who played Chekhov. It was tragic that he passed away, and it just kind of seemed like they got into a rut with the Kelvin timeline that they just couldn't crack it. You know, maybe not even necessarily because he had passed away, but it just kind of seemed like they weren't going to get anywhere. And it seemed like they were throwing everything against the wall to see what would stick, including a Quentin Tarantino Star Trek. And I'm actually glad that they didn't do that movie, because I don't know if it was true, the pitch that I heard, but I heard that it was going to be a time travel gangster movie. And I just, you know, some things are better left in the original series. That's not necessarily the Star Trek I want to see. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love a good time travel Star Trek movie, but I don't know if I'd want to see basically kind of a Quentin Tarantino 1940s Star Trek. So I'm glad basically that they took their time. I know at one point they even had a J.J. Abrams script for Star Trek 4 that was going to have Chris Hemsworth come back to play George Kirk. I don't think that they're doing that anymore. I think that they hired, who was it? I think that they hired the guy that did WandaVision is directing the new Star Trek. And, you know, the WandaVision actually wasn't a bad show. It was pretty good. I know a lot of people didn't care for it too much, but I actually really enjoyed it. So it was some pretty good science fiction. And, you know, I've got nothing but positive vibes about the new Star Trek that's getting ready to come out. I'm excited that they're doing it. And hopefully we'll get some more screenshots of the Enterprise A. Because it's something that's interesting. You know, I've been campaigning with Star Trek Online to add the Enterprise A from Star Trek Beyond. And I found somewhere in the forums, I guess, one of the devs finally answered somebody on it. And the whole reason that they haven't even added it yet is because Paramount basically wasn't sure if the Enterprise A was going to change in design at all between Star Trek Beyond and the next Star Trek movie. So they were waiting not only to add it in Star Trek Online, but also to make a model of it. I'm hoping that, you know, they make it more like it was in the movies. That was my one gripe with the Enterprise A, and that's why I made the variations that I made, or the changes that I made to my own Enterprise A from Star Trek Beyond, because I felt like it needed just a little bit more flavor from the original Enterprise A. It felt more like the TOS Enterprise than the Enterprise A. That was my biggest gripe with it. And you really don't need to do a lot to it, because I didn't. I really just updated the engines to how the original Enterprise A looked, and then I straightened the neck out in the front like how it was in the concept art, because I don't know why I liked that, but I thought that that looked really nice and sharp. And I also stuck to how the pylons looked in the concept art. And I mean, if they did something along those lines, I think I'd be pretty happy. But I don't know. I'm just hoping that they do something that feels a little bit closer to how the original Enterprise A was, and I'll be a happy camper. I really would. Anyway, we've pretty much finished up our neckline here on the sides, and you know what? Tell me that that doesn't look better than how it looked before. We've got a line there in place to help us define that backbone, and it looks great. Now what we're going to do here on the very center of our backbone, we're going to be swapping out white quartz for the gray slabs, smooth stone slabs. I've actually got to fix that row right there. So you put one right there. I mentioned this before. Somebody on my that follows me on YouTube and also on my Discord, they posted a picture. The very middle here row, they swapped out the half slabs for red concrete. And you want to know something that looked pretty good. I still haven't decided if I'm going to do it on my build. I may not. I don't know. I think the only reason I might not end up doing it is because I like having all my lines matching up, basically. I like to stick with the pattern as much as I possibly can with the cut lines, because just in my experience, I found that when I do that, my ship builds tend to come out a lot better than how I've seen my own builds come out in the past and other people's builds. But with that being said, it looked pretty good, which is the main reason why I've been questioning it on if I might actually end up doing it or not, because that is something that is the one variation on my Enterprise D is on the very middle of the backbone here, that it has a red stripe going all the way down, and my ship doesn't have it. I wish they'd add in half slabs in concrete, full spectrum of colors, so it would fix that problem for me immediately. But you know, I can keep complaining about it. Maybe one day they'll do it. But the whole reason that we're doing this right now is because we're trying to bring in just a little bit more detailing in here and making these lines pop out a little bit more than they were before. I probably only needed to do the one side of this, and I think I'm actually going to pop in a little bit forward here before we're done, because if you do one thing on one side, it's the same on the other. It's literally the same process. Just sometimes I forget that a little bit when I'm doing these tutorials, because you just get stuck, caught up in the moment. But I've been pretty consistent with it, doing if I'm just trying to do the one side, just to help us on time just a little bit here and there. But I think that does look a little bit better than what we had before. We've got our outline here where the saucer separates from the lower hull. Even though I think I need to extend this line out to right here. I was looking at the model and I noticed that it kind of almost comes right up to the impulse engines, because you don't want to go past that, because the saucer impulse engines, they stay with the saucer. So if we did extend it, this line would come up right to about here, because I think it just kind of bow out a little bit on the sides where there's a separation point, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, see, and this is where I was talking about that we're going to be swapping out this color here, the white concrete, for stone one. There's a slightly darker one. I can't remember what the half slab is called, but we are going to be going back and using a slightly darker one. It's the one that doesn't have the lines in between it. When you just add it in, it looks like a strip. This looks a little bit more like a pattern here. Try to see if I can find it. I believe it's this one right here. That's the one that we're actually going to be changing it to. It won't be in today's episode, but if try this one out, see how it looks. If you like that one more, do that, or you can have this one too. But this is what I'm going to be changing it out to, because I feel that the color looks a little bit more, looks a little bit cleaner than what I currently have that we're going to do here. Oh, I am going to do it. Cool. Very cool. I don't know why. I could have sworn that I did this whole thing and then decided that I was going to change it. No, I did it right now. Very cool. Yeah, see, looking at the two, that looks so much better than before. So much better. And it's giving us a slight variation in gray, which is one of the color palettes that we're pretty much focusing on here. There's a lot of grays on the Enterprise D. And that's why, you know, I have a lot of grays on mine, because the ship is primarily gray. So, like, if you look at the models of it, you notice that there's a lot of different variation gray hues on it. You really don't see a lot of colors on the Enterprise D. The colors that you do see, it's very little blue, little pinstripes of red here and there, and then a couple of strips of yellow, but not that much yellow. And that's pretty much it. But the gray is pretty much the primary one, so that's why you're going to see me using this block a lot more, and then also the white concrete to help me out with some of those hull lines. Now, what we are going to do, I'm not going to do this whole thing live, but off camera, this whole row going all the way around the saucer, this white concrete strip here, we're going to be swapping it out to that color, just to give us a little bit more definition on the saucer section. The saucer on the Enterprise D doesn't really have the rings like the Constitution class has. I'm not going to lie, I've actually thought about adding them because I don't know why. I think that they'd actually look really good on a Galaxy class, but I'm kind of trying to stop myself from doing that because I want to try to stay within the Enterprise D as much how it actually looked as much as I can, and not taking too many artistic liberties with it. I don't know. Maybe after the tutorial is done, maybe I might add them in just to see how they look and be like, hey, this is my version of it. I don't know. But at least for this row here, this white row concrete, we're going to be swapping that out. And we're going to do this going all the way around. Well, that's going. I think that I don't think that I do this going all the way around. I think there's one other thing that we're going to talk about or end up doing in today's episode. But one of the last things I want to talk about today, Star Trek Picard Season 2 is getting ready to drop. I'm actually pretty excited about it. You know, I'm hoping that they rectify a lot of the issues that I had with Picard Season 1. I didn't care for it. I'm curious to see what other people with on the YouTube channel that watch thought about Star Trek Picard Season 1. Just my opinion of it. I wanted a reunion of the Next Generation cast. I wanted them to bring Data back, and I felt like I didn't get that. And don't get me wrong, they did bring Data back, but they brought him back just to kill him again. And I've got to be honest with you, what they ended up doing with him, they didn't add anything new that Star Trek Nemesis had already did better. Data sacrificed himself doing the ultimate human act, in my opinion, that he possibly could to save the crew. And in the show, like, you just basically, he had an extra moment with Picard, you know, just basically that they could have their closure and that he cared about him. And I get the main reason why they actually did that is because, I mean, at the end of the day, budgetary reasons, they don't have the money to um, de-age Brent Spiner in every episode to bring him back. I get that. But what they could have done, and I talked to my brother about this, what they could have done is that the technology was there that uh, what they did with Picard, they could have done that for Data. They could have built him a human body that aged so that you can bring Data back and that he would die. But die of natural causes rather than going out and what they did. Because I think that was the one thing I was the most disappointed with, that, you know, Data basically he didn't come back, and they veered away from the graphic novel Star Trek Countdown, and that came out with the 2009 Star Trek movie, the first Kelvin movie, and it was basically a sequel to Star Trek Nemesis, where you found out that Data's programming completely took over B4, and he became Data, and then Picard left the Enterprise, and Data became Captain. I was actually hoping to see that. Maybe they might end up doing something like that now that they can go back in time and fix the timeline. I don't know. But these are things that I want to see. And I also want to find out what happened to the Enterprise Z, because, you know, we never found out what happened to her. She just kind of disappeared. But anyway, we're out of time today. Hopefully, we'll be able to talk a little bit more about Star Trek going forward. I'm always going to be checking out the news to see what's what and what's coming out. I'll try to. I watched the new episode of Star Trek Discovery, so I'll probably talk about that in the next episode. Get a feel for what everybody thought of it. It wasn't a bad episode though, so we'll get into that. But anyway, I think that is going to wrap us up today. I just want to thank everybody again for tuning in today's episode. And if you did enjoy today's content, please help me out. Hit that like and subscribe button and helping me in supporting the channel. I can't thank you enough for that. And new subscribers, don't forget to hit notifications on so you get notified when those new videos drop. And speaking of new videos, you can always catch my new Minecraft episodes dropping Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and also Saturdays at 7 p.m. Also, be sure to join the Discord channel. I have a link in the description below. Again, I have a poll going on right now for what my next ship build is going to be. So if you'd like to contribute in that, be sure to join the Discord and vote on what you'd like to see me do next on my YouTube channel. Anyway, I think that's going to wrap us up today. I hope everybody has a happy and safe week, and I'll catch you in the next episode. And of course, what did you make in Minecraft today? Let me know in the comments section.